Good morning from New York. Uh, Wherever you are, I hope you're not as tired as I am right now. My tired brain has something to say, anyway. And essentially, I'm going to discuss Republican and Democratic politics needing to shift communications farther to the left and stop calling each other stupid. On the subject of being stupid, well, that really doesn't define anybody very well. Um, would it tell people how intelligent anybody is? Not really. Um, I'm not as intelligent as probably all physics professors. Um, Not even close. But it's a little smarter than chimpanzees. Yeah, stupid just doesn't say anything except that you're upset. So it's kind of stupid to say it. you know? I'm upset that you disagree with me. Um, and I think you lack intelligence. Well, that isn't true, is it? Human beings are intelligent, and there are many other forms of life that seem to be intelligent on this planet as well. Uh, I'm thinking of this bird that had this glass of water and it couldn't get the water to drink. He ran over and got a stone, put it in the water. It raised the level of the water, and he got its drink. Uh, that's pretty smart. And plus, also, you don't know. I mean, it's measurable intelligence that we're talking about, like how well you can do in school. But there's a lot of other forms of intelligence, and I don't think we can grasp all of those, and certainly we can't say that someone is uh, lacking in all of those or in possession of all of those. Um, so it's probably kind of stupid to call anybody stupid, or even to call an animal stupid. You can say, we seem to be smarter than the chimpanzees. Eh, or is it that our intelligence is just more social because of our language? And maybe it's a pure chance that we have this seeming intelligence. And yeah, okay. As far as anything measurable that we know, we seem to be smarter than the chimpanzees by far in terms of results. But it depends on, do you value the results? How smart is it to come up with, to spend our time uh, creating atomic bombs? Well, it took a lot of smarts to create one. But was it really smart to do it? I wish we were a more peaceful species and could have decided, yeah, we can do that, but wow, that's a bad idea, isn't it? You think? But we didn't. And then of course, there always comes into play, um, well, if we don't create them, they will. So there's a lot of trust that seems to be lacking uh, around among us humans. You know, we don't trust the other to be smart enough to avoid letting their smarts create something horrible and aim it at us. It's why this channel exists. You know, we support empathetic inner mind communication, and why? Because inner mind communication, you hear babies babbling. I mean, they're developing language. And when we reflect, as we grow to the point that we're reflective in our thinking, we're able to think about ourselves and our own thoughts and whatever. Then we have this capacity, partly because of well, our species is a social species. So partly because of that and language, we have the ability to communicate with empathy, with some understanding and some ability to feel what the other feels. And when we reflect, when we do inner mind empathy, that's kind of playing in your daydream. It's kind of role playing and introspection, communication between yourself and others, and your sense of higher imagined intelligence, which I say is our brain. It's like one part of our brain is kind of suspecting that there's a hole there of me, kinda. There's something bigger. It's all of the brain, but all of the brain includes the part of the brain that's doing the reflection. So that gets into mystic experiences, which can have their value, actually. Our intelligence needs to be more empathetic. And, empathy can be, in many cases, you can grow in that ability. But powerful empathy comes from using empathy in conjunction with objectivity, creativity, and compassion. And we discussed that on the channel. And watching some of the videos, you get a clue about that. And if you ask questions, then we get a chance to answer you. You see my face a lot. We're trying to improve that situation. We invite you to be in Zoom calls with us. And there isn't us, there isn't just me. What's really a problem in politics is a lack of empathy. You don't get empathy by cussing each other out. You get to that by trying to feel what the other person feels, and applying some objectivity, some compassion, which is the permission of another person, and the caring, which invites another person to express what they feel and what they need, and to express it honestly. Compassion's powerful. So empathy with a little compassion, with a little objectivity, and with a little creativity, looking at things from a lot of different perspectives, arguing from both sides of an argument instead of just one. This is what really needs to take place, and at the core of our problems, it's this lack of empathy. And the channel we might have paid, I do. I call lack of empathy a lack of spirituality. And spirituality is something, it's a decision that you can make. There's, in empathy, I sometimes think about it, thought about it today. And somebody was writing a big long treatise, and I'm like, what's the point of that? And got to thinking about it. It was about caring and all that. I says, I think cries and tears are important to empathy. I can feel empathy for myself. I can cry for myself. Dealing with the things that damage our faith and love, our traumas. I can cry for myself. I can cry for others. And I got to thinking about, and it's creative thinking. You say, is this and that related? If so, how? I thought about, well, I can also, so I started to cry, just about myself and my father. My father said wisely once, you always cry for yourself. Yeah, but yourself can be bigger than just what you think is you. That's empathy. It's my addition to what my dad had to say. But, yeah, I got to thinking, man, I cried for the things that happened to me, the things that happened to my sister, to my children, some of which was my own fault. That's the hard stuff. Cried for my father as he grew into old age and said, I'm an old man now. I cried for him, for my mom, for the bad things that we did in our family to each other. Cried then. I thought about, well, what about a friend and his family or her family? Thought about that and I cried for them. Then I cried. I said, what about the whole world and its families in this difficult reality? Cried for them. Yeah. What about life on other planets? Cried for them. What about animals? Pets? Well, cried for my pets. Cried for all animals. Yeah. And then I cried thinking of if there was a creator of this, And cried for that one too. And maybe there was no creator. I cried for eternity. And then I thought of the mythology of the Bodhisattva, hearer of the cries of the world. I said, when we cry, and we don't just cry for ourselves, we're just like that mythical Bodhisattva. Someone says, it's not a myth. I go, whatever. How much do you, can you measure the crying for the world? And then I thought about how this led to a kind of wisdom and a kind of relief from being overwhelmed by this. And, that's the beginning of wisdom, which leaves you with the attempt to be the most loving you can be. And not pridefully, the love we have comes from love we've received. Even from love that we know about or could have expected. Yeah. So to be in the story of our life, as I've said so many times, look down from the heaven of your mind, from your brain, from that part of you transcendent and creative, the creator of all you imagine and all you perceive. Look down as if from a place without time, as the artist within yourself. See the story of your life. Know that you can enjoy that story no matter what. It's an interesting story, like any movie you might go to see. Then call to yourself, the one in the midst of all the drama. Why not make this a great story? Why not be the hero of love in your story? And then you think about what's a hero, Well, it's any small act of caring, especially in a situation where it wasn't expected. Sometimes it's opening the door for someone. Sometimes it's a small gift of money to someone homeless on the side of the road. Sometimes it's more than that. When it's more than that, when it's more and more, the risk goes up. So is love sacrificial? Yeah, it is, kind of. And that's spoken of in many religions. What I think about religion, well, it's an attempt to point to the ultimate reality, to the source of love. And just like no finger points perfectly in a world where everything's moving. Religion isn't perfect. on the mythology of Jesus, you know. Oh, that's true, it's true, whatever. Um, Jesus said, well, the law and the prophets, you know, nah, I didn't come to just get rid of it, you know. It's how I see religion. Didn't come to get rid of it. I came to fulfill it. If there's enough love in the world, you don't need laws. You don't need religion. You stop looking at the finger and you're looking at the love, the source. Some people find that in near-death experiences, some in mystical experiences. It doesn't mean you believe in anything supernatural. I mean, how would you know? All we know is what's natural. If it's outside of that, it gets pretty hard to know what would be out. You'd have to know everything there is. You go, hey, that's outside. So I'd never say that. There may be parts of the natural that we do not understand. And that doesn't mean that it's outside. So, but even though, you know, here's the mythological statement, the just shall live by faith. Faith in what? Faith in love. Now, how is justice achieved by love? Well, it doesn't, it gets rid of the whole need for the concept of justice. If you're acting in a loving way, you don't need to say anything. You just have faith. But you act on that faith and love, and that's never total. But whatever trust you have in love, you act on that. And that will make a better world. And it is the just shall live by faith. You will fulfill justice if you act on faith, on trust and love. Do you have to define that love? Do you have to personify it? Nah, but it's useful sometimes. Love really is the answer. And the two political parties need to realize that. This argument about this and about that and how much of this and how much of that. How about let's have a little faith? Whatever your religion or lack of it, have faith and love. Faith and love is sacrificial. It's a risk. It's at the edge of your comfort zone. That's when you need faith. When it's right at the edge. When the risk is high. But is the comfort zone useless? No, the comfort zone is important. It keeps us all safe enough to keep going. So the whole import of empathetic inner mind communication is to stay in that comfort zone. In fact, you can use objective, creative, and compassionate empathy as a way to comfort yourself and others. You can do that. And it grows, the practice of it grows your objectivity, your creativity, and your compassion. You know, these skills can grow. And along with your empathy. And that's how we, in practical terms, carry out faith and love. So, within yourself, there are many selves. There's as many selves as there are perspectives, perhaps. As many selves as there are roles that you can play. Comedians use roles. I have selves in me from various experiences. General Beauregard is one of them, you know. That's my role, developed from things I've heard on the movies, you know, about Confederate generals. General Beauregard, who has a unique perspective on a lot of things that is dead wrong. It would seem to be dead wrong. Yeah. And of course, there's a lady version. Well, you know she's crazy. So why don't you just leave her alone? Something I heard from my parents. They would bring that up as something that a lady once said in those tones and in that accent about dealing with crazy. Sorry, that's a wrong term. Stupidity is wrong, crazy is wrong. I'm sorry. When dealing with people that seem to be out of touch with reality for whatever reason. I don't think you should necessarily leave people alone. You need to help them. But you need to help them in ways that they can receive it. That's important. You know, people talk about traumas that, the bad thing that happened to me. And then repentance, bad things you did to others. I like to broaden that a little bit. Sometimes we do bad things to people when they're trying to love us and we can't receive it. That's harmful. So we need to repent not only of times when we haven't loved, but times when we refuse love. Because, I wouldn't say that maybe it's just we couldn't help the things that we've done, perhaps. Everything led to that. But we can work on changing conditions so that there can be a new path forward. So to the two political parties, I said, make a new path forward. As I said, shift to the left. Now, let's go into that. Well, it seems that the left is a little more concerned and a little more empathetic. And we're not empathetic enough. So when you hear me say left, I'm really meaning a more empathetic government. And this last election, you know, you have ideas, and you don't think they're smart until the smart person says it, and you go, "Oh, I said that. I must have been smart for a moment." So, smart for a moment. Yeah, smart for a moment, and then the senior moments happen too. Yeah. So, how do we get smart? There was a comedy called Get Smart. Now you get smart by trying, and that's what I think. You get smarter. So, shifting toward what's empathetic, um, shifting is a shift toward the better meeting of human need. That would definitely mean anti war. It would mean making meaningful alliances, and many other things. It means, in an attempt to be empathetic, we need to use our skills of objectivity, creativity, and compassion. When you see people opposing those things, well, that's a sick mind. That's a mind that's not as spiritual as might be desired. That means we're all sick. Again, it's like the word stupid, you know. But what is it to say someone's sick? Well, better to say that someone seems to be lacking in forms of empathy, objective, creative, and compassionate. From compassionate empathy, we get goodness. From objective empathy, we get truth. And from creative empathy, we get artfulness. All of these virtues are great to be applied in order to do what? To create a greater trust amongst ourselves. And shifting to the left, yeah. Well, those on the left seem to be more empathetic. And I started to mention the last election where, you know, and I went off and said how I had a thought about that, and I didn't think it was smart until I heard a smart guy say it. Well, what was that thought? Well, backtracking here, my thought was that we need to understand the minds of people that voted. And the experience, the thing that I noted that the smart guy agreed with was it began with this experience of running into people who said, well, I would vote for Bernie or Trump. Well, what did Bernie or Trump mean to these people? It meant that they were in miserable shape. They felt bad. They were experiencing the drift in this country toward the super wealthy and away from the common folks like myself and common. What's common? Um, people in general, and the poor, the people who are more poor, the working class, a drift away from the working class, being able to have a home, being able to send your kids to school, things like that. All the money going to a few elites. And Trump and Bernie both represented a move away from the elites, a move away from the people who had the power and who had the money. Now, I think that Trump portrayed himself that way, but actually was fooling people. But the danger of not moving further left for our country is that you've got this, and this is the insight that this guy had that I had, that you've got all of these troubled hearts that in the midst of their troubles and stress can be easily fooled or can erupt into violence. So what we're seeing if we don't go further to the left is a danger of increasing the misery at that's growing in the country to the point that it might turn violent or shift the country toward a form of government that isn't wise, that doesn't balance these forms of empathy, that's dictatorial in one sense or another. A one-party rule, for instance. So, one guy who talks a lot about improving that situation and moving further to the left is Robert Reich. And his channel is very illuminating on this subject. Our own illumined speaker on the practicalities of politics, who also shares this sense of a need for empathy, which if you share that, you need to join us in our Zoom calls and get your voice be heard. And you need to subscribe to the channel, please. Share videos you agree with and make comments. Any comment helps the channel because we want empathy to be a message sent around the world. We need to grow that, and that will grow the trust, and that will calm the fires of misery that's being created around the world. That isn't good. And then it leads to bad politics. So, my solution would be, in practical terms, go to Robert Reich channel. ROBERT Reich, REICH. Okay, you can find him on YouTube, and he's very informative. There are others that are interesting as well. Check them out. I would really pay attention to what Robert Reich has to say. Brilliant man, very practical. His ideas and thoughts are for the United States, but it's something that could be applied worldwide as well in many cases. So, do I have an answer? Well, empathetic intermind communication has practices which we teach free for those who want to know. You can get extra help from a therapist if you need. It's composed of a number of things that are have been around for thousands of years, one way or another, and it's pretty safe there, yeah, because you're staying in the comfort zone. Your comfort zone is totally blown. Bless your heart. You need a therapist, and I suggest you find one that's empathetic, not just yammer. Oh, I think you should do this, and I think you should do that. Even your objectivity needs to be nuanced with empathy. Maybe the person's not capable of doing this and this and that. Did you think about that? There are counselors like that. Shy away from them. They need to reach you. That's what you're paying them for. Right? Am I right? So, this is about all I've got to say. And for those of you saying, well, thank God. Well, I feel the same way because I'm pretty tired right now. Glad I've done my job for the day. Remember, until we meet again, here or in any other way, to, as Neil deGrasse Tyson says, keep looking up. But look up to love, honor it, embrace it, express it, and join us in our mission. The best to you always, from all of us to all of you, wherever you are, whoever you are.